Thank you very much. I'm a retired professor for art and science, actually, but I'm not really retired because I'm still working an amazing amount on my own work, finally, and I'm going to present one of those projects today. I'm the founder of Artist in Labs program, which has now turned into a program that's a accredited elective for students in the master's school. And I'm going to talk about Jellyeyes, which is art very much inspired by science. And this is about augmented reality. So this presentation is about this installation that I created for the viewer based on touch and biomimicry. Jellyeyes is about the evolution of with narratives from two characters, a diver tourist, me, and a marine biologist, the daughter of Lynn Margulis. So these narratives are inspired by my own diving experiences and research into residencies in science. And the residencies have been in symbiosis and evolution, marine biology, and in neurovisceral systems. Let's look at each one separately as in terms of the influences that I've been having in these residencies. In 1967, Lynn Margulis created the concepts of endosymbiosis. Now by that, her theory was that symbiotic bacteria created mitochondria and chloroplasts, the very powerhouse parts of any cell. This was right in the beginning of evolution. But she also was interested on the theory of evolution of light cells or fluorescent chloroplasts. And they're found in blue-green algae that live in close symbiosis with coral reefs. Here a bacteria called cyanobacterial endosymbiont evolved to create fluorescent light that acts like a sunblock for the coral. And it is sensitive to temperature change. These chloroplasts are also found in the pigment of our eyes. They're pigment in cells that move in the photoreceptors in reaction to light. In marine biology, I've worked with marine biologists at the CSIRO in Australia, and I investigated the symbiotic relationships between algae and modern coral, and the human impacts that the lives of species have in this environment on each other. Yeah, that's really important, how the interdependencies work. And I made research into symbiotic relationships between algae and corals, and the roles that they play in aquatic ecosystems and how they can be helpers. Then I investigated the impacts from climate change, the effects of this on chloroplasts, particularly on these light-sensitive pigments in algae, cohabitation, and in species vision itself. Now here you see the latest sad map about coral bleaching in Australia. You see how much of the reef is actually destroyed at this point. And it's really a big, big issue that I think artists in media can start to address very, very seriously. Now, my other residency for a long time, I've been investigating in neuroscience. I learned about our own receptors and their pigmented chloroplasts. This is with the University of Zurich. They're very similar to the eyes of box jellyfish in the squid. So our eyes are directly related to other creatures' eyes, the camera-based eye and the evolution of that eye. In humans, we also share these two jelly-like substances, aqueous humor, which is a moving fluid affected by temperature, and vitreous humor, which is the jelly-shaped construction with the fibers that attach to your retina. And both of these are severely affected by UV exposure, increase in acidity, especially ocean acidity, and environmental conditions. And photoreceptors need healthy chloroplasts. These chloroplasts help to control, in humans, they help to control light and lower light levels of energy, where the photoreceptors are formed from neural tissues and directly attached to the brain. In the squid, they control low light levels in photoreceptors that attach to a distributed brain. And in jellyfish, they control sunlight pigment cells that are attached to each other by fibrous tissues, and the jellyfish has no brain, just this attachment between the tentacles and the sunlight pigmented cells. So my question was, could augmented reality and biomimicry help us see and understand this environment through the light receptors in the eyes of other species? So I'm going to play a video. Works? Oh, it started working. Sorry, I go back. So it's a little bit slow, so for my speed. Anyway, so here's an interaction example of the augmented reality installation. It consists of a large photograph of a dead Barrier Reef and an iPad built into a sculpture of a human optic nerve. The image on the iPad brings the photo to life. Sounds of water and bubbles immerse the viewer into the environment. The aim is to explore the delicate balance of this aquatic ecosystem through the eyes of the box jellyfish, the humans, and the squid or calamari. The viewer can warm the water, and this changes the environment and causes symbionts to leave the coral. If you select the magnifying glass, you can discover how the loss of this symbiont means the loss of the food source for the coral, a weakened immune system, disease, bleaching, and death. Warming creates more algae and therefore more jellyfish in the Barrier Reef. In another scenario, you can choose to see through the eyes, an empathetic and parabolic look through the eyes of these box jellyfish and the predator-prey relationships of the species in the reef. Or you can go back to the human eye to see through the lens, and in this scene, the diver tourist is stung by a box jellyfish. The whole program is also available on iPhone with a downloadable screen-based photograph. And here the viewer has chosen black and white view of the squid's eye to look at the human hunter. So you're always able to look in one section, you're always able to look through the eyes of other creatures in the environment itself. No, I don't think so, it seems. Oh, no. The video play? Oh. Okay, I'll wait. Can we make sure the video is playing, please? I don't think so. It's not moving, I don't think. Here it goes. Okay, so yes, it's a big delay. Let's take a closer look at the menus for the interaction. So in coevolution, which is one of the menus you can select, bacteria become the agents of change. And this is a tribute to Lynn Margulis. And I actually ended up turning Jennifer Margulis, her daughter, into the character of a marine biologist. She collects evidence about the state of symbiont death in the coral, fluorescent bacteria in the algae, the so-called zoolangeli, aid the coral with nutrition and growth. They block sunlight, control toxic compounds, work with the stress levels, and even stop pathogens in the algae from developing. The ocean warming causes this acidity and symbiotic destruction within this environment. In structural evolution, Darwin said that adaptations of an organ like the eye must be looked at in relation to its lineal ancestors. This is a simplified tree, if you like, of the evolution of visual perception that I worked out with the neuroscientists. The jellyfish is an early example of our eye's development. The squid another stage in evolution of light receptors of the camera base eye. Here I play the dangerous, ignorant, destructive tourist who I have personally seen in my own diving experiences, always taking food from everything, sometimes even jumping on the coral, and to the horror of the scientists who try to teach respect from this environment. We have to do a lot of teaching to the tourists who are diving. This is all shot underwater, by the way, in a tank for firemen and not in the Coral Reef. So, in comparative ways of seeing, as James Lovelock once said, life creates the conditions for its own existence. The viewer can look and choose either the eye of a box jellyfish, the squid, or their own eye to see that Barrier Reef environment. The ignorant diver tourist plays around with the Australian box jellyfish, touching it, pushing it, prodding it. There are more of these very poisonous stingers every day swimming in the reef. We hear many, many times of this. So ocean warming shifts the ecology of the predator-prey relationship, and eventually, I think it's going to start to harm our own existence. So what I've been talking about here is that I like to use sensorial strategies of role-playing and touch in order to explore this kind of environment. So in coevolution, the role of the participant becomes the CO2 emitter, and through touch learns about the reactions of symbiotic bacteria, survival of coral, algae, squid and jellyfish, and the interdependencies of these species. In structural evolution, the participant becomes the investigator and learns through touch about similarities of vision between the species and the evolution of light receptors in the photoreceptors. In comparative evolution, the role of the viewer is an empathizer. They see through the eyes of this species and can change these views with touch to identify what they see. Here, biomimicry is used to witness the environmental impacts on the reef itself. So in conclusion, I believe that augmented reality might create a catalyst for climate activism. To reveal and influence, the look and reveal the influence of evolution on survival, on environmental factors, on inherited variation, and on the mutual benefits of symbiosis. And perhaps even to mitigate change. For example, to show the effects of survival on the species. It can encourage us to think about variations and reproduction problems, as well as encourage mutualism and even see through the eyes of other species. After all, the future of the Barrier Reef and these reefs in the world are in our eyes. We see it. We see the destruction. But now the issue is in our hands. Thank you very much.